Hey guys, we are looking right now at one of the AIs that I've been developing for Warcraft 3 called Fear the Hunter. It's going to speed this up a little bit. So I just got it to the point where it can effectively, reliably 2 versus 1 Blizzard's standard AIs. These computer normal AIs, that's basically as competitive as they have made their AIs without cheating. If you try to up the difficulty any further, what happens is it just gets double the resources, but otherwise uses exactly the same behavior, right? And what I wanted to show here is that it is possible, without even too much work or investment, to make these AIs significantly more competitive without having them cheat. And I think that that is really important in a strategy game, because the strategies that you use in a strategy game arise from an understanding of the rules that you and your enemy have to play by, right? Like if you get into a fight in this game and you feel like, I just need to trade effectively. I'm going to make sure that I kill more in this engagement than he kills of me, and then I'll be winning. But it's not the case. The AI is cheating, right? Or maybe you attack the enemy's economy, thinking that it will be devastating because it would be devastating to you, but they're not playing by the same rules, you see. And I think that this really it really runs counterintuitive to what you're trying to achieve by having a higher difficulty setting. Like if a player is upping the difficulty, it's because they've already gotten strong enough that they're not getting challenged by the default AI that they're playing against, and they want to be pushed, to be challenged, to use more strategy, to have to think more about how to be good at the game. But if the AI is cheating, particularly for resource cheats, and then 10 times worse again if they don't tell you how the AI is cheating, which is the case here. So they just say, oh, it's harder. It actually shrinks the available amount of strategies which can be effectively employed against the enemy, which really defeats the purpose of having a higher difficulty setting in the first place, right? So Fear the Hunter has a couple of advantages over these AIs, and probably the most important one is the way that it engages with the enemy. Now these AIs, they basically will just follow a set pattern that they will go through step by step every game. And unless you interrupt them, they just run it like a train on railway tracks, right? Whereas Fear the Hunter will attempt to figure out, to guess what your objective is, and then it will try to make a play against that objective. So just here, Red has cleared out the neutral creeps from this gold mine with the intention to make an expansion. Fear the Hunter has clued onto it. Now, he's not going in to attack Red in his base because the armies are pretty equally matched, and Red's base defenses would make it unfavorable. But he's just standing here in the access way to the gold mine, killing Red's workers as they're going past, right? He's denying him the objective, or attempting to do so. And I think that that's not only good from a competitive point of view to make the AIs smarter and harder to work against, but it's also cool from like a gameplay point of view, because if you've got, like an AI is essentially a substitute for a person in a strategy game, right? If you've got two human minds competing against each other, it creates a story. As they're trying to one up and guess each other's intentions and things like that. You get a narrative because there's characters involved in the competition. Whereas a lot of the time, if you're playing against an AI, you're playing against the computer, it feels more like playing with a Rubik's Cube or something, like it's a puzzle. It can be fun to sit there and work it out, figure it out how to do it. But that's the only dimension that it really works in. Whereas at the end of the day, these AIs are all, no matter how good they are, they're all code. They're all algorithms, so they just work on their whatever their conditions are. It's either yes, no, 1, 0. But if you design the AIs from a point of view of attempting to mimic human behavior, you can trick the players, you know, like subconsciously even if they're not thinking about it, into feeling like they have an enemy, not just a puzzle. It's like, you know, they can feel invested into winning and not being beaten by it, because it feels like, you know, somebody is trying to beat them. He's just decided now that he has enough to go in and take out red in his base. Yeah, I think that's really important, because it allows for there to be a narrative in every game. If you know, you need to have characters for a narrative, and if an AI feels like it has character, then you can get a lot more enjoyment out of it. And in a lot of ways, how good the AI that you are fighting against, unless a game has a very strong multiplayer element, it really ends up being the lifespan of the game. You know, when you get tired of the AI, when you figured them all out and there's no challenge left, or even if there is a challenge because they're cheating, but they still act the same way every time, that very often can be the lifespan of the game that you're playing against. So he's taking out Red's base now. Now the other advantage that Fear the Hunter has over these AIs is that it builds a very focused battle strategy. At the moment here, every unit that is built other than his heroes is a headhunter. And what he's attempting to do is create a super concentrated source of fire that will quickly remove single threats from the enemy's lineup. It has a, you know, it's a concentrated attack pattern that can be used like an edge to shut down enemy strategies, but it comes with a concentrated weakness as well, because these things are like really glass cannon, you know, and if you manage to attack them effectively, they're going to drop really quick. I guess this is a lot of the reason why Blizzard never bothered to use really concentrated effective strategies like this, because the concentrated strength comes with a concentrated weakness, and they never bothered to make their AIs able to adapt. If the player coming up against this strategy built a unit composition to counter it, they would just mop the floor with it, right? Because the default AIs aren't clever enough to adapt. Fear the Hunter, if it is presented with a counter to its headhunters, will attempt to counter your counter. So again, you get that sort of engagement as if it was another intelligence. Whereas these default AIs, they basically just build a bit of everything, and they have no pronounced strength and no pronounced weaknesses. So it's an easy way to do it. I guess really their weakness is the fact that they don't have any focused strategic advantages. So if you build a focused army like Fear the Hunter here is doing, you're going to win against them fairly convincingly. So he's just wiped out most of Red's base. Now he could have just finished Red off at this point, and that would have been the better play, but the way that it's programmed, he's decided that removing Red's core infrastructure is enough, and he's going to get some attention to blue now, I think. Yeah. So what it's doing here, blue's making a play for the center of the map, this Fountain of Health, which is a really important resource, plus a lot of gold and experience from these monsters here. So Fear the Hunter is attempting to interrupt the fight to try to pincer blue between the enemies that he's engaged with here and his own forces, but he doesn't seem to be, he's not actually going to get there in time. Yeah, he's been interrupted by these little gnoll poachers on the way. That's what it was trying to do, but it never got there. But it did end up getting into a fight with blue anyway. But you can see from what's happening to Flameseeker here that focused firepower from the headhunters is far more than blue can handle, so he's going to back off now. He should probably go for blue's base. No. What are you going to do? Oh, he's going to go down and finish red. Okay, that's fine. So blue gets a chance to recover. He does have an expansion, so blue has double the income, which means it'll be pretty easy for him to replenish his forces. But it's not. I don't think it's going to matter because Fear the Hunter's just got up to its key support units. Masterclass Shamans will give Bloodlust to all the units to increase their attack speed, and the Kodo Beast is going to give them all attack damage as well, which again is focusing in on that single target concentrated damage. And it's going to be too powerful even if blue does have double the income. I'll just speed it up a little bit because he's taken ages to make sure his army is together. It's really quite important that it is that way though, because a lot of the time they'll end up fighting with only half the army because it ends up snaking out across half the map. So he's just trashing blue completely. I'll speed it up a little bit more because there's no competition there. So blue still has more forces down here. And he's not going for them. The right play would have been, you could just end the game right now. There's nothing down there. Okay, so his main gold mine has run out of resources. So Fear the Hunter has switched priorities now, and he's gonna make sure that he's got a bunch of bases for backup. So where is he going? Yeah, he's going to clear the path down to this gold mine. And he's going to build a bunch of bases. Now, I could have made him act a little bit more all in so that he just tries to finish the game. But a lot of the time, when it gets to this stage of the game, it very much becomes, like probably 2 out of 3 games, it becomes like a grind of resources. Who's going to run out more quickly and who managed to secure enough expansions. So he's gone ahead and built 1, 2, 3 extra gold mines now, and then feeling secure enough, he's going to go for the kill. And that is that. So thank you guys for staying to watch all of that. I hope you get to play it someday. Just send me a PM or whatever if you want to have a crack against Fear the Hunter. And otherwise, I will catch you dudes in the next video. Peace out.